Most people study for hours and still feel unprepared. They read the same pages again and again, highlight sentences, watch lectures at normal speed, and convince themselves that time spent equals progress made. In this video, you're going to understand why that approach is fundamentally slow and how to switch to a way of studying that compresses learning time so aggressively it almost feels like cheating. Not because you're cutting corners, but because you're finally using your brain the way it was designed to learn. The first thing you need to understand is that studying is not the same as learning. Studying is the activity, learning is the result. Most people focus on the activity and hope the result follows. Fast learners reverse this. They focus on the result first and then choose the activity that produces it most efficiently. The brain does not store information just because you expose it to content. It stores information when it has to do work. Passive exposure creates familiarity, not mastery. Familiarity is dangerous because it feels like understanding. This is why rereading notes feels productive but produces almost no long-term retention. Fast studying begins with intent. Before touching the material, you define what you want to extract from it. Not, I want to understand this chapter, but something precise, a concept, a principle, a type of problem you want to solve. This single step gives your brain a target. Without a target, attention scatters and time stretches. Another reason studying feels slow is that people try to absorb details before understanding structure. Every subject has an underlying framework. When you don't see the framework, every fact feels separate and heavy. When you see the framework, facts attach naturally. Fast learners hunt for structure first. They want to know how ideas connect before memorizing what the ideas are. This is why previewing material works. Skimming headings, summaries, and conclusions is not skipping. It's building a mental map. Once the brain has a map, it processes information faster because it knows where everything fits. Memorization without understanding is one of the biggest time wasters in education. The brain resists storing isolated information, but when information explains something, supports something, or solves something, memory forms naturally. Understanding reduces the need for memorization. Speed also comes from asking the right questions. Every question turns the brain into an active participant. Instead of absorbing information, the brain starts searching for answers. This activates deeper processing. The quality of your questions determines the speed of your learning. Another shift that makes studying feel illegal is recall-first learning. Instead of reviewing notes repeatedly, you attempt to recall what you learned before checking. This feels uncomfortable because it exposes gaps, but those gaps are exactly where learning happens. Each retrieval attempt strengthens neural connections far more than rereading ever could. Fast learners embrace difficulty strategically. They don't make studying harder than necessary, but they don't avoid mental effort either. The brain interprets effort as importance. When something feels challenging, the brain tags it as valuable. Compression is another powerful accelerator. Instead of keeping information in long explanations, fast learners compress ideas into short summaries. One sentence, one rule, one mental model. Compression forces understanding. If you can compress something, you understand it. If you can't, you don't. Time management plays a role, but not in the way most people think. Long study sessions don't produce better results. Short, intense sessions with full attention outperform long, distracted ones. The brain learns faster when it knows the session is limited. Urgency sharpens focus. Environment matters less than clarity. A focused mind can study anywhere. A scattered mind wastes time everywhere. The fastest way to improve study speed is to remove ambiguity. When you know exactly what you're trying to learn, distractions lose power. Mistakes accelerate learning when used correctly. Fast learners don't fear errors, they analyze them. Every mistake points to a misunderstanding. Fixing one misunderstanding prevents dozens of future errors. This saves time long term. Over time, studying changes from repetition to refinement. Instead of consuming more information, you refine understanding. You identify weak spots and strengthen them. This targeted approach dramatically reduces wasted effort. The reason this method feels illegal is because it breaks the illusion that learning requires suffering. It doesn't. It requires alignment. When your study method matches how the brain works, progress accelerates naturally. Eventually, you reach a point where studying no longer feels like grinding. It feels like solving problems. Information connects faster, recall improves, confidence increases. And then you realize something most people never do. Studying fast isn't about being smarter, it's about being intentional. Once you change how you approach learning, time stops being the limiting factor. That's how you study so fast it feels illegal, not by cutting corners, but by finally stopping the waste.